Hey guys, this is Vince with Practical Performance. In this video, we'll be having a look at the underside VineSkinz and comparing the three different sizes. So the base stage, the stage 1, and the stage 2 VineSkinz. So these are the front right. So sitting here, let's orient ourselves. So this is the rear Vince bar sitting up of the left rear. The right rear, we have the fronts here. This would be the left front VineSkin, and again coming back here, this is the right front, which has the most of the shape. So this is stage 1. I have these set up on my stand because this is where we'll start. This is what it looks like in more detail. So this is the one that has the most shape, which is really visible in the stage 2 version. So with that said, let's dig in and compare the different sizes. First of all, why the different sizes? Well, as demonstrated in the VinceSkinz deep dive video, I'll leave a link in the description of this video, any underside plating, including the VineSkinz, is really only a local repair and reinforcement. So if you don't have a lot of damage, there are just a few small cracks, the base stage will suffice. That will be perfect. I'll show that on this 320i RACP later on. If you have a little bit more, the stage 1 would suffice, and you have a lot of damage. The largest stage 2s are the ones to go with. So again, why the different sizes? Why not the stage 2? Well, you could, but as you can imagine, creating these intricate shapes takes a lot of time. So the stage 2s are significantly more expensive than the base stage. So again, if you don't need the stage 2s, why pay extra? You get the base stage. With that said, let's have a little bit of a deeper look, closer look. Again, this is the base stage. That's the stage 1. As you can see, the base stage and the stage 1 share the same rear VineSkinz. The difference here is that there's less coverage on the right front as well as so that would be the base stage. It has the coverage where the most of the typical cracks comes down. This is the left front for the stage 1. Typically, if you just have a hairline crack at the rear left, you're okay with just a flat skin on the front there. Now, the stage 2s, they stretch a lot more upwards. So these are upside down now, and also have a lot of more coverage around this area. I'll show this in more detail later on. So let's start with the stage 1s, and let's tip this over and have a look at the underside. This is the underside of a rear axle carrier panel from a 320i, as previously mentioned. So as most of you are probably used to viewing this from the underside rather than having it flipped over like this, I'm just going to be flipping my camera over to orient ourselves to start with. So this is the left rear with the typical hairline crack. We'll get back to that later on. This is the rear right, the front right here, and finally the front left. So again, we will start by having a look at the stage 1 VineSkinz. This, as I mentioned, is a typical hairline crack. It's the very early beginnings of cracking rear axle carrier panel. Now, if you just have this, and in this case, there's also a beginnings of the semicircular crack here. It could also be cracked. This is again the front right. There could also be some additional cracking around this area down in the rear over to the front here as well. Let's have a couple of look at a couple of pictures. So assume you have that situation. The stage ones are perfect. So the stage one rear VineSkinz sits like this. It really closely follows the contour, the shape of the rear axle carrier panel, and most importantly, it really nicely covers this crack here. So it has material all the way around here, and it comes up there. In case your crack is a little bit longer, maybe it comes back more like this. So that's the rear left. The rear right here as well, it's uncommon that in the early stages you'll have a crack there as well, but just in case, again, the stage one rear VineSkinz sits really nicely there. So moving on to the front right, the stage one front right VineSkinz comes down and around and over this area here, as shown in the picture earlier. You could have, it's very common to have cracks coming around here, over this way, and more forwards here. And the front right stage one VineSkinz comes around, really closely follows the contour as seen here, and it helps remedy that really easily. The front left has a little bit less shape. Not very common to have cracks on the front left unless there's a lot of damage to the rear. But if you have some, you probably want to go with the stage one. As in the case of this rear axle carrier panel, there's only really hairline crack there. There's the beginnings of the typical semicircular crack here. There's not even any cracks coming down this way, but even so, if there was some, the base stage VineSkinz are a perfect choice. So again, it sits on top there, takes care of the semicircular, takes care of a reasonably sized crack coming down this way as well. It doesn't reach as far down as the stage ones, and it doesn't go down, stretch down onto this surface as well. But again, in this case, this is a perfect choice. And on the convertible I'm working on, which has exactly this situation, I will be installing the base stage VineSkinz. If your cracking is at a later stage and there's more damage here, let's have a look at a couple of pictures of that, what it could look like. Now as seen, the cracks come down further, they come back further back this way as well. There's more going on around here. What you want to do is you want to order the stage 2 VineSkinz. So as you can see, this has a lot more coverage. It comes down on the back side here as well, on the front side actually, sorry. It comes down a lot further, or actually up. I'm viewing this from upside down, sorry about that. So there's a lot of coverage here taking care of this. Same thing with the left front. Again, it comes down, it goes upwards here as well a lot. There's a lot more coverage. And this is again the left rear. So this has the small hairline crack. Let's have a look at a couple of pictures of what a more serious damage situation would look like. Having seen that, and the cracks coming out this way, coming down further, it's obvious that you need something larger than the stage 1 RACP. So this is the stage 2 rear VineSkinz. Even these are pretty heavily formed. They sit over it like this. So again, cover the hairline crack coming around here, covers the cracks coming down this way. As you saw, there would be some damage here coming around this way as well. So that's the situation where you would get the stage 2 VineSkinz. And this is the rear right VineSkinz, as it covers this large area. These studs normally sit welded on here and there. Rather than having a hole in the VineSkinz and having some area where you don't get the rust off and stuff like that, you just simply cut them off, and the stage 2 rear right VineSkinz has these studs, which I personally think is a really nice feature there. So, and again, these have a thickness. They're 1 millimeter thick. That's very, very intentional. You don't want to go too thick, because then you have a really large step between the 1-ish millimeter, the rear axle carry panel, and maybe I've seen people do 3 or even 4 millimeter thick. You get a stress concentration. You don't want that. So these are 1 millimeter, closely follow the surface. These are the spacers for the front here. And yeah, there are, of course, the steel rivets come with these, and there are instructions how to do this. That's really just a short run through of the 3 different sizes, and I hope that helped you.